So, have you got some answers for me?
Sure.
What age group are we talking about?
Well, up to 8 years old.
What do we need to have in it?
Well, you must have the early years learning framework, the Australian curriculum, or your relevant state and territory curriculum. You also need the course materials, and you also need to have included some scholarly reference.
How many of these scholarly references?
Well, you want a minimum of 3. That means at least 3 references from some scholarly literature.
I see. But what do I actually have to upload when I've finished?
You're going to upload 2 things. One is the Kalturo video, which is your presentation video, and the second thing is just a reference list using APA formatting.
So what exactly will I be marked on?
Well, there's 3 main points that that is going to be looked for in the marking. The first one is the depth and relevance of the components. This means you have to show a deep understanding of the unit concepts that you've learned through the learning materials so far.
Okay, I see. What about the second thing?
Well, the next thing is you're going to need to have the correct use of conventions of spoken English. That means that you need to be speaking in clear, using accurate sentence structure, clear sentences, clear communication, and make sure that you're not talking like Yoda from Star Wars. Make sure your sentence structure makes sense and sounds right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, what about the last thing?
Finally, it's going to be about the references you're citing and whether you're using accurate APA referencing.
But how do I know how to do APA referencing?
All of this is in the Student Hub under Study Resources. They've got plenty of referencing guides just for you.
Okay, I think I can do this.
Well, sure you can.
So let me get this straight. I'm doing a presentation where I'm recording myself, and I'm going to upload that for the markers to watch. Is that correct?
Yup. And remember, you're also going to upload a reference list, too.
Yeah, I gotcha. Now let's talk about this presentation. In this presentation, I'm going to need to have a couple of things, right? So I want to show that I've understood the course material up until this point. To do this, the first thing I'm going to do is define and describe the teaching and learning of the English language, correct?
That's it.
After I've given a definition and described this, I'm then going to put it into some context. I'm going to give an example of how it applies in the classroom. I'll talk about a specific age of the student, and I'll talk about how they, an example of how they apply this acquired knowledge.
Exactly right. Then you're going to do exactly the same thing, but for the literacy strand. So again, you're going to go into the curriculum. You're going to find the strand of literacy. You're going to have a look through that. And you're going to use the course materials like the e-text and the course learning from the modules so far. You're going to describe and define the teaching and learning of literacy. You're going to give a specific age, you're going to put it into context and give an example of how this is applied in the classroom, and how students are going to be applying their acquired knowledge.
So, is that it now? Or is there any more?
Well, the last thing you have to do in your presentation is talk about the key difference between the English language and literacy in relation to teaching and learning in the early years.
And let me guess, I've got to provide an example that is linked to the classroom and the teaching and specify the age group, right?
Of course, we want to know that all of these concepts that you're learning, you're going to be able to apply in the classroom. You can see the link between what we're trying to teach you and what classroom practice is really about.
I'm kind of nervous about doing a presentation. Where can I get some help with this kind of thing?
Well, if you go into the Assignment tab, under Assignment Details, there are some supporting resources. Everything that you need to help you with everything from preparing your presentation, the process, using special skills to engage your audience, presenting from home, everything you could possibly need. Hey, we've even thrown in the APA Style Guide underneath.
But how do I know about Kaltura? How do I make these videos? Where do I get information about this?
In the Assignment tabs, under Assignment 1, Kaltura Video Submission Point, everything you need to know is right there to help you.
How long does this presentation have to be?
4 minutes.
How much is it worth?
10% of your overall mark.
When's it due?
It's due in week 4.
What if I need to have a little bit longer?
Under the Assignments tab, there's a request for assignment extension at the bottom. You can click on I'd like to request a 48-hour extension or a longer than 48 hours extension. But remember, for the longer extensions, you're going to probably need to have a medical certificate or some sort of evidence of hardship.
You know, you've really been very helpful. I have to say I've always been a cat person, but now I'm kind of getting the appeal of a dog.
Hey, that's why so many people say we're their best friend.
Well, you know what, buddy? Why don't we go hit the town together right now? Let's celebrate now that I really understand what I've got to do.
No time for that. If I'm going to be a good buddy for you, I'm going to say knuckle down and start planning out your assignment now so you don't leave it till the last minute. That way, you can do it with no stress, you won't need to ask for any extensions, and you'll keep up to the time frame, chugging along with the rest of the course so you never get overwhelmed by the amount of work you have to do.
Okay, I hear you, buddy. But come on, let's squeeze in a little Broadway show. My shout.
Okay, as long as it's not Cat.